In this lesson I want to talk about triplets, and especially about triplets grouped in groups of 4, because triplets are of course by themselves grouped in 3 per beat, but if you group them in 4, then you have this sort of nice thing that will shift on top of the meter you're playing in. And also if you are playing in a medium swing or a medium shuffle or another similar kind of groove, then this is something you can fairly easily apply just to sort of break up your 8-note lines and possibly your 16-note lines. And just to avoid getting really stuck in the groove, then if you start to make something that moves a bit across, then it'll open up the rhythmical flow of your solo quite a bit, I think. I think the one that I hear doing this the most is probably Herbie Hancock, especially if you listen to an album like Speak No Evil. But also there's a lot of Joe Henderson where he does it, and so those are nice CDs to check out actually. Wayne Shorter's Speak No Evil with Herbie Hancock on piano is a good example, and also for a lot of other rhythmical interesting stuff. I'm gonna do this lesson in, well, it's sort of 3 parts, because the first thing we're gonna look at is just basically, okay, let's do some exercises just to play triplets well. If you don't know this already, you might, but it's fairly simple. The next thing is then just to have some exercises where we already start grouping the triplets in groups of 4 instead of having them in the meter. And then finally I'm just going to give a few examples on lines that you might use as models for making your own lines, and you're having your own rhythmical ideas with triplets. So let's first start with some exercises on triplets, just to sort of have the basic triplet, 8-note triplet under control. So here you have the first example, and it's just a 3-note figure played in 8-note triplets. So it should sound like this. So that's not so difficult. But it's also just nice to have an idea, okay, this is an 8-note triplet, this is how an 3-note 8-note triplet sounds in the groove. What you can do with this already is also to start leaving out notes. So if I do it leaving out the middle note, you get. If I leave out the last note, and if I leave out the first note. Just basic ideas to practice getting your triplet timing a bit together. So the next example is just to take a scale pattern, which is in this case is I've taken triads, diatonic triads, and the idea is just to play those in triplets, just to get the hang of that. So that would be something like. And so on and so forth. Basic exercise, of course you can sort of try out different patterns and stuff, just keeping this this kind of feel to it, so you always have the just basic stuff to get more used to playing in triplets if you're not used to it. I think when I'm practicing, I actually find that I need to return to basic stuff more often to fix problems. It's easy to work on, and it really works quite well if you just really take it back to the basics and work on it and really listen to it critically and go, well, does it sound okay, is it in time? The next exercise is also a triplet exercise, but now we're going to take something that's not fitting in the meter in the same way, so we're going to do diatonic thirds in the same scale, and that should sound like. And here you can already start working a bit towards grouping in even notes. So if I start accent, giving every other note an accent, then the triplet feel is going to get camouflaged a bit. It's going to get more difficult to hear it. So if I do it normally, it's going to be like. So it's subtle, but it's a nice effect. So much for that exercise. The next thing I would suggest you do is to make up your own patterns, where you already have different kinds of groups of 4, and try and play those. I think the ones that I'm giving here are all repetitive, so I didn't do anything that I'm taking through the scale, which is something I do too, though. But the first one will be this. And of course, the idea is, this is just a fragment from an A minor or C major pentatonic. So anything, it's fairly easy to play. It's a good place to sort of take something out. You can easily make this into like a scale exercise from the A minor pentatonic, like. And of course, in the same way, we can take another thing that's 4 notes and then try and work on it, which would be like a diatonic 7th chord arpeggio. So in this case, like a C major 7 arpeggio. So that's already something where we are taking something that we already know, and we're trying to put it into a new context just by changing the rhythm. And of course you need to practice a bit just to get used to it, but it's fairly easy to make the transition, I think. Until now we've been doing stuff that's playing all the triplets all the time. But another thing that's done quite a lot is to have a rhythm which has one long note or a break in it. So that would be example 6, which again is basically, it's a fragment from an A minor pentatonic scale. And that already will make a fine thing to put into a solo somewhere. And of course you can start moving it around or working with it. But this is a good place to start, I think. Okay, so much for the exercises. Let's do a few simple lines that you can put into use, and then I will talk a little bit about how I constructed them. Okay, so the first example, all my examples are basically sort of thought of as an sort of F minor Dorian sound, but of course they'll work well with B flat 7 and A flat major 7 too, I guess. But okay, so the first line is very simple. That is this. 1, 2, 3, 4. So just a fragment out of a pentatonic scale again. If you put that into context, probably it's going to be something like the next example. I'm using some arpeggios and chaining them together and making a small line of it. This is not as much like a rhythmical motif in the way that all the exercises and the other line was. This is more moving towards when you start really playing within the feel, which means that you really start making up new lines in, well, that's kind of like a bar of 6/4 on top of the 4/4 that's going on in the groove. But okay, so the line sounds like this. And my idea with that is, so if I try and lay down a groove first. I guess what I'm doing here is also a little bit like I'm playing in triplets, but I'm also starting to make my phrases so that they're all groups of 4 notes for a longer period of time. Even though I'm improvising, I'm not just taking a motif and repeating it. And that's something that you can work on too, that'll have a nice effect when you're playing at medium tempo like this. Okay, so the last example is this. And the idea here is I took 2 shell voicings since I'm sort of thinking F minor on it. So an F minor and an A flat major 7 shell voicing, and then I'm just alternating them using the rhythm of example 6. The thing is, if I'm going back and forth between them, I have three 4-note groups per bar, and I have 2 different grooves that I'm going between. So the second bar is turned around compared to the first one, which means that this is a longer phrase. And it's also sort of the beginning of how you can do the same with quarter-note triplets instead of with 8-note triplets, or with longer figures, and so still have these phrases that will come out after 1 or 2 bars, or maybe even 4 bars, depending on how you work on it. So this is an example of a 2-bar phrase. So there were a few exercises for triplets and a few ideas on how you can make your own lines with triplets, or 8-note triplets especially, in groups of 4. I hope you can use the stuff I talked about. If you have any comments or any suggestions, then feel free to leave a comment on the video, or connect with me on Facebook or Google Plus or Twitter or Instagram, and let me know there. If you like the video, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel. That's one way to stay up to date with new lessons that I make, and other stuff like upcoming CDs and concerts, etc. You can also go to my website and subscribe to my newsletter. That'll also keep you up to date. So thank you for watching.